So welcome everybody, and we are here today because I wanted to introduce you to absolutely amazing person, Vanessa Talbot. And the reason why have I invited her today to speak with us is because she's going to give you some amazing insights on how she has built her business, successful business. And how did I meet Vanessa was when I was searching on Facebook for some groups about coaching. I found her group and I thought, okay, coaches and, entrepreneurs, authors, that's fine. It's like, so I clicked on that and I went to this group, and the first thing I noticed was that this group has over 16,000 members. And I thought, hello. And then the second thing I noticed was by scrolling in the groups, comments and the wall, that there was not one single spam. And I thought, wow, this is like unusual, because usually when you go to these groups, they either like nothing is happening or people are spamming all the time. And I thought nothing is there. And I was reading through it. There was like engagement. People were on fire. They were like talking about interesting topics. And I thought, this is not going to last. Let's come back in 2 weeks and see. And I did come back in 2 weeks and see. And it was the same thing. And from that day I was hooked. I was on this every single day. And then I thought after weeks of that, who is the owner of this group? Who is the creator? Who is this person who is like managing to keep this vibe going? And then I go to the top, of the page, and I see this pinned post. Like, took me weeks to do that, right? And I see this amazing, gorgeous, beautiful girl standing next to her horse, smiling. And I thought, wow, she's so relaxed. Is she really the owner? Because everybody I've ever met was not relaxed when they're creating their business. She was relaxed, and I thought, I want to know this woman. I want to know how she's doing things. And then I saw one of her products about how to become a Facebook, successful in Facebook, like Facebook magician. I'm like, I want what she has to offer. And this is how we actually met and got to know each other. And I'm like absolutely inspired with her. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about who she is as well. So Vanessa Talbot is a profile builder for coaches and change makers. And she is creator of this popular Facebook group, Coaches, Authors, Entrepreneurs Step into the Spotlight. And this is what I didn't know about her, and I'm learning every day about this amazing woman. Vanessa is also the author of the international inspirational book for women, Extraordinary You, The Art of Living a Lusciously Spirited, Vibrant Life, of which world-renowned thought leader Dr. John DeMartini, and I know him, he is absolutely incredible, is filled with gems of inner wisdom and inspiring stories that will expand your mind and help you truly live in a more vibrant, authentic, and extraordinary life. Wow. So welcome, Vanessa, to this interview today. I'm like so blessed to have you around and in my life as well.
Thank you. That's an amazing intro you've done. It's one of the best I've ever had.
So this is the impact that you have on me. So yes, so I want to know so much about you, and I'm sure that the people who will be listening to this interview would want to know more about, wow, who is this woman, how she's done it, and what is her hero's journey, because as you know, like, you did not end up being in this beautiful, successful place in your life straight away. Like you were probably when most of the people who are starting the new coaching businesses are right now, wondering, frustrated, they don't know if they're going to make it, how they're going to make it. So what was your hero's journey from when you first started to where you're right now? Can you give us a couple of sort of insights into that mindset and situations and challenges?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for asking, Anna. I have been in this game now for 7 years, and it's still, I still have further to go. I don't feel I'm anywhere near at my pinnacle yet, so I still have, I think, a long way to go as well. But I do feel confident and secure at the level that I'm at. But it wasn't easy to get there, and it didn't come immediately. Probably... See, I came from running a big company in the mining industry. So my income was massive. I had massive business income and profit. And then, of course, I had massive personal income as well from my business with my then husband. But when we got divorced, the company was taken off me. It didn't go with any of the settlement or anything. Yeah. So I was left with no income, a property out here in the middle of nowhere in country New South Wales. So I don't live in a city or anything. I live out on a country property. So a property with horses and kangaroos and all sorts of animals to pay for.
Yeah.
A small daughter as well, and no money coming in whatsoever. But because I had so many animals, I didn't want to go and do a 9-to-5 job in town, like, you know, because I live out of town, as I said, on a country property.
Yeah.
And for me to decide to go and work for someone else, that wasn't my gig. Do you know what I mean? I've always had my own work.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of I hit that stage where it's, well, what do I do that's going to keep me at home working my hours and enabling me to keep the freedom and lifestyle that I'd built through the massive income from the mining industry. I had no clue, Anna, and I was sitting there just, you know, one day, just sitting there. Luckily, I had a little bit of reserve money to keep me going. It wasn't much, but it kept me going for a little while I was trying to figure this out. Looking through a magazine, and I saw an ad saying, "Do you want to be a life coach?" I was like, well, what's this life coaching gig? And I did a little bit of research, and I said, oh, that sounds easy. I can stay at home and, you know, coach people online, you know, on calls and stuff like that, video calls. I don't have to go anywhere. So I immediately enrolled.
Wow.
And then became, that journey of the very up and down of, first of all, taking off quite well and getting clients, but then there's also the pullback where there's no clients.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So having that journey of trying to create a business where it gets to the point of having a consistent client income. So there were stages there that I even had to go on Australian social security. So any Aussies listening to this, you'll know about social security. Because I ran out of money eventually, you know, because I didn't have solid income. I had some reserve money that was supporting me and paying for my coach training, you know, $20,000 plus course. So paying for that as well as paying for my property, paying for all my animals and my horses, and of course keeping my daughter and I fed.
Yeah.
And when that ran out, I had no choice, because I still wasn't getting regular income, but to go on social security for a short period of time until I finally figured out how to create that consistent income.
Wow. Okay.
So that, so it wasn't easy, and it probably took about 3 to 4 years to get to that point. So it was about 3 to 4 years of up and down, up and down, up and down.
Yeah, I'm so pleased that you actually said that, because so many new coaches especially think that they can create success overnight, and they're flying high thinking that's going to be happening, and they don't quite have this roadmap of how business actually develops and the time frames in which that develops. So you saying that you run, you know, worked on a mining company already, so you had some insights of how the business is run, right, already, some kind of knowledge. Lots of people don't have that knowledge at all. I think there's like a little bit of our connection is unstable, but let's continue. We'll see if it comes back. So yes, so you knew the path and how long it's going to take. And I've heard that in general, people who know something about the business, how the business is run, the intricacies, actually achieve success between 3, 4, up to 5 years. Anybody else, like me, does not. Like, achievement rate is about, you know, from 3 to 4 to 5 years and after. So the reality check, I always say reality check is there is a learning curve for everyone. So yeah, so this is how it was for you.
Yeah, like I had been running the business for 10 years in the mining industry. As I said, huge business in the mining industry. So I had a lot of business knowledge and a lot of business success.
Yeah.
And I suppose that helped me, because I remember when I went to my coach training school, you know, I did 2 years of coach training as well as, you know, trying to make income at the same time.
Yeah.
And she did say to me, the mentor there did say to me, you're in a better position because you've had all that, you know, you've run your own business. And another thing she said too to me, Anna, really interesting, was she said, you're used to making big money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and she said a lot of them come into coaching and they're not used to raking money. So she said their own head, stops them from that success.
Yeah.
So that was something that she pointed out to me that I found very, very interesting.
Wow. Yeah, it's true. And every time I have, for instance, myself achieved something or know that somebody else has achieved, it was interesting when you're talking to these people, the first thing they have is this knowing in themselves, in their head, that they have already achieved this. So you have this expectancy of getting the success continuously all the time, and this is keeping your vision strong and going for it. Like I don't know, I've always envisioned myself for some reason a big stage in front of thousands of people, and when I first burnt out, I started feeling like if I'm going to run the business, I'm going to be hiding behind a computer and it's going to be all online. And I started doing all of this, marketing online, this, that, funnel building, blah, blah, blah. And then at some point, I don't know how it happened, I ended up on a stage and I thought, oh, this is not going to be how I'm going to do things. And then when I was on the stage, it felt familiar and I connected with people. So everything you have in your mind, this is what actually happens. So the mindset is crucial for you. So I want to know, how did you actually get your first paying clients? I'm sure everybody wants to know this.
Yeah, interesting story. I'd been in the coach training, and bear in mind, people who don't know me, I'm actually a massive introvert. So even going to the coach training classes, they were, in person, they did a 3-day intake for us to come in, learn in those 3 days. I couldn't even walk into the room, Anna.
Wow.
I was so petrified, and I was such an introvert. Yes, because my mining industry, I never had to leave my house.
Yeah, oh my God.
I had a whole crew under me of 40 guys, and I'd just send them out, and they traveled the world. I just stayed at home and ran it.
Wow.
So having to walk into a room for someone who'd been a hermit like me for 20 plus years, staying at home, was huge. So it was about 2 months into doing my coach training, and I decided, enough of this, I need a coach, because I didn't. Yeah, enough of this, I needed a coach. And it was more to actually help me get through the divorce, as well as trying to start the coaching business. So it wasn't just about the coaching business. It was, I got to get through this divorce as well, because it was actually holding me back, that stuff. So I got a coach. And I had just been on a writer's Hay House cruise. The Hay House, people who know that publishing company, they do those writers' cruise. And you heard that, you said earlier that I had a book out. Well, the book actually came from that. So I went on the writers' cruise, and when I got back, she sort of said to me, well, what are you going to niche in? I said, I don't know, I have no clue. And I said, I'll tell you what, though, one thing I picked up was that when I was on this cruise and I was listening to all these authors and wannabe authors, they all wanted to write, but no one had the confidence or the knowledge of how to actually build their profile. So they wanted to write and be authors, but nobody knew how to build their profile. And Reed Tracy at Hay House was saying, you've got to have a profile. You've got to have a profile for us to sign you. We want you to have followers and an audience online and be out speaking and that. And I said, they're all really scared about doing that. And I said, so perhaps that's an area I can help them with. And I didn't think I'd be profile building. I thought I'd just be helping them with their confidence, Anna, in getting out and doing it. And she said, well, can you contact some of them? And I managed to get a list of the 500 people that were on board on that writers' cruise. And I just sent them out a email blast to that whole 500 list of people that attended that event, saying, I know your problem, and of course hit them with their pain point, and said that I would coach them for 6 sessions and help them get through this so that they can build an audience and get signed by places like Hay House.
Wow.
And I had 21 responses, and they were all in the US, and I was in Australia.
gosh.
21 responses, 7 became paying clients, and that within 2 months was my first paying clients, was 7 authors from the US.
Wow.
One went on to become one of Hay House's winners.
Wow. Wow. Woohoo!
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And so I got, being a little Aussie who had only been still being trained as a coach and only been doing it for 2 months, my first clients were 7 people international. So it actually gave me huge credibility here in Australia that I was working with international clients.
There you go.
So that's how it worked. And it was as simple as that, having the guts to just get this list. And trust me, I was so scared about pushing that email button.
My God.
So scared.
Yeah.
And you pull back and you're not going to do it. And I just thought, I've got to do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hit,
That's it.
and then that was the response.
Wow.
So you've just got to have that bit of, you've got to push through the fears.
Yes. So important for so many people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think that you said that you were 2 months into your training as a coach and bam, you achieved this success. So talk about a little bit more about coaching certifications in this field. Are they really that, important?
Every client, I've worked with heaps of people and no one's ever asked me for my coaching certification.
Yeah.
No one ever has.
Yeah.
So in terms of getting clients, I'd say no, it's not important.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But if you want to learn how to coach really, really well, I guess doing the trainings and learning how to do these things by the certain formulas and models and all that is going to help your coaching expertise. But in terms of getting clients, especially in the life coaching area, that more generalized area, clients will never ask for it, very, very rarely. So is it important? Maybe to be a better coach, yes, but to get clients, no. So take it how you want to from that.
Interesting. Because as you know, so many people are saying, I can't be a coach, I don't have my certificate yet. And then even when they do get a certificate, they don't make things moving as well. So what do you do? It is an excuse, isn't it? So what do you do yourself to continually improve your skills?
I put Fridays away for learning.
Wow.
So Fridays is my learning afternoon. So I don't start coaching, because every morning for me is out with my animals and horses and, doing some running and that.
Mm-hmm.
But Fridays is no clients, no potential clients either. So we don't do any of the prospect calls. It is strictly put aside for learning. And so whether I'm reading a book or whether I'm watching someone else's webinar and learning something new, or whether I'm doing someone else's program or course, I have that Friday set away to learn. And so, things like I learned Facebook ads that way by doing a program with someone else, and now I can teach Facebook ads.
Wow.
So it's enabled me to have greater skills and therefore make money from those particular skills as well.
So that's interesting, because people, sometimes I talk to new coaches and they say, well, why would I get a coach or go to another course myself? Isn't that less credible? People will think I'm less able because I have a coach myself. No, that's a mindset that's not going to bring you any pluses or positives or any success. Because your mindset has to be that you're always learning, you're always developing, upgrading your skills, and you having a coach is the biggest example of why coaching is beneficial, because even you have a coach. Everybody has a coach who's successful that I know.
Yeah, exactly. And if I didn't have my coach, she wouldn't have given me that idea. Well, I wouldn't have had that idea of myself to get that email list from that quote.
Yes.
And send that out and get my first client. So I could have been struggling for 6 months, a year, 2 years before I even got my first client. So it was her that gave me that idea to do that. I'd never have thought of that on my own.
That's it. And this is what many
Yeah.
people who are just starting don't realize, because they're struggling by themselves, just learning the coaching course, but they don't have the coach to actually guide them through how to get their clients. So
Yeah.
thank you for saying that. So one thing that interests me is, did you have to upgrade your mindset in order to, make success in your business? Or you did? So what did you specifically do to upgrade your mindset?
So it wasn't about determination or anything like that. I was very determined to make this coaching business work because I wanted to have my coaching business be able to keep the lifestyle and the freedom that I'd established through the mining industry.
Yeah.
So it had to work. So it wasn't that. What I had to upgrade was my own beliefs about myself. As I'd said earlier, very shy, introverted, a hermit, couldn't work into a networking meeting, couldn't do a webinar or an interview like you're doing right now.
Wow.
The idea of being in front of people was super scary, so I wouldn't stand up on the stage and speak.
Yeah.
That's what I had to shift, because for me, living out here in the middle of nowhere, I don't have any local clients. There's no one around. I could go and coach my kangaroos.
Yeah.
So I had to find a way to get known through, for me personally, the online world.
Yeah.
And that took an effort as a shy hermit to actually say, I've got to start putting myself out there, because the idea of becoming a public figure or well-known was actually really repulsive to me.
Wow.
So that's
Coming
what
from
I
somebody
had to
who is
do.
a profile builder for coaches and, change makers. Wow. What a shift. That's like 360, 10,000 degrees. Wow.
Yeah, I still don't like being around a lot of people, but if I go and take a stage, then I'm going to own that stage. But if I'm networking around the room, I'm probably the one that's still clinging to the side of the walls rather than in the middle.
Yeah.
So, I've gone up where I've been the guest speaker at a huge event, and I've been hanging around in the audience, and nobody's knowing that it's me, and nobody's been talking to me. And then I can see how shocked they are when it's actually me that takes the stage.
Wow.
Because I think they think we're all, going to be the life of the party and that. So I've learnt to have that other side of me come out when I need it to.
Yeah.
So that was what I had to do, Anna. It was a big shift for me, and it actually took a couple of years. It wasn't easy. And I would say, I'd tell everyone too, I actually got coaching around it as well, around that particular area of me.
That's interesting because,
I didn't do it all on myself. So I ended up with a different coach who helped me just with letting go of that belief that I'm so shy and I don't want to be in the public eye. And I still am that and don't want to be there, but I can do it because I know that it's reaching me for my bigger dream.
Yeah, exactly. That leads me probably naturally into my next question, into what do you think is the biggest difference between a coach who has a successful business and a coach that doesn't?
Many, many things, but I'd have to say that the main thing is in the way that they think and what they do with their time as well. So those two things are going on. So we've got we've got this thing going on of total determination and belief. Interesting story. Remember I told you I did the coach training class, right? There was 32 of us in that intake class for my year, not my year, but my month in that coach training.
Yeah.
There's 2 of us that have survived.
2?
2.
Out of 32, Jesus.
Yep. And I ended up, yes, and that's true. And actually the fallout rate from the coaching industry is really quite high. Some people say like 90, 95%.
Wow.
So what's that secret ingredient? It's being able to hang in longer than everyone else.
Wow. So
that's
the
the
secret ingredient. I love that. So everybody, can you write this down? I'm going to be writing this down right now. Hanging longer than anybody else. I love it.
Hanging longer than everyone else. See, what happens is people they start, it's not happening, and then they pull out. You've got to stay stuck and know that you're going into the long run. Tell yourself you're going to be there till the end no matter what. If it's
That's
still
it.
your dream, of course. Like some people say, oh, no, this is not for me. That's
Yeah,
fine. Go and do
exactly.
something else. But if
Yeah,
coaching is really the life that you want,
yeah,
you have to be prepared to hang in there longer than
yeah,
everyone else.
yeah. So the secret sauce, I guess, you have some like routines or rituals, the way you do things. So I'm curious about what would your average day look like? What does it look like?
Okay, I get up when I want. It's usually about 9 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, I love that. I get up what I want. Can you imagine that? Woohoo! Yeah,
Sit around on my front porch and have a nice leisurely breakfast. Then
yeah,
around 10 o'clock, I'm off for my walk and do a bit of a workout as well for an hour.
yeah.
Then
Okay.
it's horse time and kangaroo time. So
Yeah,
I spend that hour with the horses and the animals.
yeah,
Around noon is I'll make some lunch and then sit down for an afternoon of either client calls,
mm,
prospect calls, obviously, but also creating as well. I love the creating side of coaching, creating programs and content.
yeah,
So I enjoy that time as well. And then, of
mm,
course, I block out around an hour for social media
yeah.
for my Facebook group. So it is very structured.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then that goes to around 4:30 when my daughter comes home
Yeah.
off the school bus, and then that's it, I'm done. And then depending if I have international clients at the time, some nights I'll have put aside for maybe one client session in the evening as well once my daughter's gone to bed.
Okay. That sounds like really beautiful and fulfilled day to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm only working around 4 hours, 4.5 hours on Monday to Friday. I don't do any work on the weekends.
It's perfect.
And like today, for example, it was Oscars. And I thought, well, I'm just taking Monday off so I can sit down and relax and watch the Oscars all afternoon.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that's what I
exactly.
did.
Yeah, yeah. So you basically build the life of your dreams, exactly how you envisioned.
That's why I got into coaching. And that's, I
Yeah.
had no idea. I was thinking things like, oh, I'll go and do herbal for horses or Reiki or something like that.
Yeah.
And you know what? I realized, Anna, that is not going to make me the type of money I'm used to.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
that's
coaching seemed to me the answer that I could actually create a business that enabled me to make, good money like I was able to when I had the mining company. So that was what was important for me as well.
yeah, yeah. So it's interesting to mention that because different people have different reasons, or I call it a leverage, and you have to find your own leverage to be able to actually make yourself more resilient and stay in the game longer, as you say, longer than everybody else, to make it happen for yourself. And I bet that if you starting this coaching or business right now, that you would have some like wisdom to share with your young self 7 years ago. I mean, if you had this situation, what would you say to yourself
Okay,
now,
there's a few.
being so
Yeah,
extreme?
there's a few things I would have done earlier.
Yeah.
I had that great start with the international clients, 7 of them within 2 months of starting. Boom, boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom,
yeah, yeah.
boom.
Yeah, that was amazing.
But then that stopped.
Okay. You experienced
It
the same
wasn't.
one. Me too.
Yeah, it wasn't continual.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
wasn't continual. So I would actually say to myself, build your Facebook group earlier. It took me more about 3 or 4 years down the track before I had the brainwave to
Uh-huh.
build the Facebook group.
Okay, yeah.
So the first 3 and 4 years, I was just hoping to hell that a client would show up.
Mm-hmm.
And not many did.
Yeah.
So my advice would be far more consistent. And also for me personally, it would have been build your audience straight from the very beginning. Don't wait like I did to 4 years down the track and then say, oh, well, I'm still not doing very well at this.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll try a Facebook group. Find your strategy to build your audience and your following right from the very beginning, because what that enables you to do is have a pool of potential clients right there at your fingertips
Yeah.
the whole time.
Yeah.
That's what I would have done now,
Okay.
looking back earlier.
So talking about that, if somebody here with us listening to this feels that the way you did this, like Facebook groups, is the way to go for them, is there any like tips that you can share with all of us of how to actually do this, build a successful Facebook group that is like, wow, like yours is?
Yeah, look, mine went from 0 to 500 in the first week, and then up to
Wow.
5,000 in the first 6 months. So it did go quite quickly. There's a couple of things that you have to think about. You have to know, for a Facebook group to work well, you have to actually know who is it for. So it's really important that you're on target with the target, with the market that you want in there, the type of people that you want in there. You've got to be really crystal clear on that. And then your name and the look that you give it as well, in terms of the banner and that, has to scream to that target market, this is a group for you. There's a lot of Facebook groups out there that get lost out there in the Netherlands because nobody really knows, when looking at the group, what it's actually about, who it's actually for, and then most importantly, what are they going to get from it? And they're the questions you have to answer in that millisecond, that mini-second, that Facebook group shows your group down the side in suggested groups, for example.
Wow. So there's some really there are plenty of strategies that I haven't heard of still. So, and I've trained with you. Gosh. Okay. Wow. Okay. So this is like, obviously, thank you for these tips. Thank you for sharing them with us. And well, I think that's conclusion of all these things is to be able to have a successful business like yourself is, number one, comes the mindset, right? And then knowing the strategies that you just shared with us. So obviously there's like a huge well of wisdom and knowledge, behind what you just said, and so many more steps that needed to be taken to the success. So how would you summarize your most important beliefs that you needed to have inside you to create this successful business for yourself?
For me, it was knowing my audience. So I started out, as I said, the first 3 or 4 years in a bit of Netherlands because I started out doing the authors, and then I drifted over to the personal development area for women. That was very wishy-washy. Do you know what I mean? It was quite generic and it didn't really work. But when I switched back to profile building, but this time applied it to the coaches, because I'd been training coaches, so I knew what their issues were, my business went whoosh.
Yeah.
So it's having that very distinct market and knowing how you can solve your problem. So for my audience, these coaches, I knew that most of them were in that 90 to 95% fail rate with their businesses because they couldn't get clients.
Yes.
And I know your particular area that you're brilliant at is helping with that mindset area around what you need to transform yourself to, as I had to transform myself. My brilliant area that I discovered was one of the reasons that they weren't getting a client or building their business was because nobody knew who they were. So, I just came up with the idea, the stuff that I worked on with the authors, and then I had also had a couple of clients who were celebrities here in Australia on TV, and I learned a lot of profile building on how he was out there doing his celebrity stuff and getting known. I'm going to take all that and just apply it to the coaches so that they start to get known. So that's it. So know what the problem is that you solve, what your special area of brilliance is, that one thing, and how to then apply it that your people really need to have it.
That's just really clear in my mind of how to get there. And while you were saying all these things, how you went and had the celebrities and you learned from there and applied all of that, I can imagine it became easier and easier for you to step up and to overcome whatever blocks you may have had, because you can learn how they did it, but how you apply it, how to press this button, how to reach out and do it, say it, it became easier for you. The more you did it, the more success you had, the more challenges you overcame inside yourself first. and then you saw the results. So, wow.
Yeah, it is. It is a case of, it's like driving the bus, isn't it? When you first start, you don't know what even the
You don't know
gears
what
are,
it
and you're
is.
body
I
hopping
can't even
along.
open the door. To the bus.
Where's the gear?
Yeah. Does it have a key?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And naturally, the more you do it, like the more you press that send button on an email
Yeah.
to head out and offer your services to people, the
Yeah.
more comfortable you become with it. And
Yeah.
as I said, I remember that first button, send out to 500 people, that first email, send that button. I was petrified, sat on it for 24 hours before I
Wow.
could hit send.
Yeah.
Now I'm sending out emails, once, 2, 3 times a week to my subscriber list. No problem at
Yeah.
all. Boom,
That's
boom,
it.
boom.
Yeah. So that was it. The mindset,
Yep.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much, Vanessa. That was a really beautiful share and tips and strategies and hero's journey that you went through. And do you have anything else to say to audience, or any offers or anything that you feel inspired to share or say?
I suppose the only thing is, if anyone does want to, I'm known for creating Facebook groups as one piece of your strategy for getting out there and getting known. If anyone does want to use a Facebook group as their strategy, then connect with me for Facebook Group Magicians.
Yes. Woohoo! So that's it, because I was part of that group, amazing group, learned so much stuff, and I'm grateful. Thank you so much
And
for
your
that.
group is one of the ones where the instant you look at it, it hits the nail on the head. We can look at your group and we know exactly who it's for, what benefit we're going to get from your group, and why we want to be in it.
Yeah, thank you. And I would never do this by myself, because I have like about a dozen Facebook groups nobody knows about. And that's the reason they don't know about it. Like maybe 1 or 2 friends, and nothing is happening in them. So thanks to you, now there's like full strategy, structure, there's a mindset, everything is behind. Looks like a back end and the front end are functioning really well. So yes, so thank you so much.
Yeah.
So lots of wisdom. So people, what are you waiting for? Go and see Vanessa and get your strategy with the Facebook, build strategy of profile building through Facebook, groups sorted through Vanessa. So thank you so much, Vanessa, for today. Like, I really enjoyed this. Really enjoyed
Thank
talking
you.
to you. Yay. Okay.
Thank you, Anna. Bye.
Bye.